So, hello, welcome to our second symposium. This is Organon, Alice Asker, Pablo Marinha, Martin Ritter. So we in the last couple of years focused on researching and developing options for microtonality in the past and in the future, and of course in the present, and developed some devices that are still in their infancy, to put it mildly, and we're going to present some contemporary and some ancient applications of these new techniques. And the symposium, as well as the concerts, they are always divided into these two things. We have some historic material and also some contemporary material. I just wanted to remind you that tomorrow there is a lot of workshop situations where you can actually check out the software and the hardware yourself. So we have all the instruments here, so we will explain them, but it will also be an opportunity to play them yourself. Our guest from abroad this year will be a Canadian composer who is based in Berlin, Mark Sabat, who will give his presentation after the opening concert in the afternoon today at 3 o'clock. So, without further ado, I just jump right into the talk that I'm going to give today. As you have read, the title is Orthodox and Reformed Chromatic Tunings. And as I said at the beginning, there will be always a kind of back and forth between historic situations and contemporary situations. And my talk is very much focused on the situation in the 17th and 18th century. So it's a more historic talk. Last year, I was talking about the development of enharmonic instruments in the 16th century, even earlier 14th century. And today, as I said, I move on in the history a little bit further to the like 1700s, something like this. So to start, I would like to show you this chart here, and in the 20th century, I don't know, I think in the 1970s or 80s, two historic organs, one built by Christian Vater in Bockhorn, and the other one built by Joachim Kaiser in Wannerland, Hohenkirchen, were reconstructed, or they were renovated, and in the process of renovation they were able to establish, because of the diameter and the length of the pipe, the original tuning of these instruments. I mean, approximately it was, and so this is what we can see here. So it's something, as I said, built at around 1700, and what we can see is that these tuning systems were built in a way that the fifths are usually much better than the thirds, but the advantage is that almost all keys were playable. So the only two chords that are not really working is F sharp major and C sharp major. And G sharp major. So what I've notated down here. This is I mean, it's possible, but it's really very harsh and not really possible. But all the other keys are kind of working. But as you can see, we have like, if you see the bold printed numbers, these are the pure intervals. So we have a few like F, C, B, F, then F sharp, C sharp, C sharp, yeah. These are perfect fifths, and then we have a couple of fifths, like 700th fifths, which are pretty good fifths. So we can see that this is a temperament that is more focusing on fifths than on thirds, and it's a temperament that allows almost all the keys to be played. We see a quite similar situation in the even earlier organ by Joachim Kaiser. Also quite good fifths, and there are even some 2/3 that are quite good, that are pure, like on C and on C sharp. But still, the tendency is, you see that the thirds are much too high, whereas the fifths are preserved quite, let's say, quite pure, or almost pure. So these are two organs. When we and as I said, this is around 1700. Historically, this means this is the period of time when the when the modal system was kind of disappearing and the tonal system reappeared, or it was invented, so to speak, which means that it's possible to, with these tuning systems, to play almost all keys, no? in a well-tempered system. Just as a reference, this is now, I will talk about this a little bit later, but these are tuning systems by Werkmeister, and the most famous and the most widely used is Werkmeister 3. And here you can also see that there's a lot of pure fifths and almost no pure thirds. So it's basically in the same category of tuning systems. It was also developed at approximately the same time, so around 1700. And this is the first two that I showed. They were really practically used on organs, and this is a theoretical book, but we can be quite sure that they are representative of how organs were tuned. And then this is another example for these tuning systems. It's by Neidhardt, 1732, and also here you can see there's quite good, even perfect fifths, and they are bought with quite bad thirds, so to speak. Okay, then so this is one we can see a very clear tendency in these tuning systems towards perfect fifths, and towards the fact that we would like to play as many different chords and keys as possible. Now we look at different organs. This is from approximately the same period of time, like around 1700. But we see a completely different picture here. No? You see, in all these three tunings, quite a lot of chords are actually not playable because they're so harshly out of tune. But what we can observe is that there is a tendency to emphasize the thirds. So there's a lot of pure, in all these three temperaments, there's lots of pure thirds, and you see that the fifths are much worse than the fifths in the previous tuning systems. And what you also can see is that you have here, that's a Wolf's fifth, no? 725 hertz, much too high. And that's something that we haven't seen in the previous set of tuning systems. The same is here, we have a Wolf's fifth, and here as well. So they are approximately designed in the same period of time, and they are all from Germany. And so now we could wonder, why is it? What is the difference between the first set and the second set? What happened? This, of course, is a rhetorical question. Now, okay, this is the Zalino tuning system. No, you have the quarter comma mean tone temperament, and you see that it's much closer to the second set of German tunings, like with all the pure thirds and all the diminished fifth, and the Wolf's fifth here. But now, so here we can see what happened. This is a map from a little bit earlier, 17th century map, and you can see that all the yellow and red colors are Protestant, Calvinist or Protestant regions. Like after the Peace of Westphalia, Germany was divided into small countries that were either Protestant or Catholic. And this is exactly what we can see. All the tunings from the first set and the theoreticians, they came from this deeply Lutheran Protestant era, whereas all the second set tunings, they came from this South German region, also Austrian region here, which is deeply Catholic. And I find this is a very fascinating observation, and I was wondering why is it that Catholic church organs are tuned differently in the 18th century than Protestant organs? And so now, sorry, where is the pointer? Yeah. Let's move on. So it's quite clear that this geographical divide. And of course, this is now a more broader question that we are discussing now. And it's very interesting, and that's why I'm showing you this. Athanasius Kircher, this is a picture from his Musurgia Universalis, and it's called Harmonia Nascentis Mundi. So harmony gives birth to the world. And this is, of course, also it's a complex thing, but basically the organ and the tuning of the organ is symbolizing the universe and the structure of the universe. And I think this is interesting because it's paradigmatic. Usually all tuning systems in the history of tuning systems, they were always connected to a broader, let's say, metaphysical idea or a religious idea of how the world works. So tuning systems were never just some mathematical thing, but it was always something that was deeply connected to the worldview of the people who defined tuning systems. And you can also see that all the mentioned theorists like Neidhardt, Werkmeister, and also I haven't talked about him, but I will. Mr. Samba from Salzburg, they were all organists. So there's always a connection between tuning system and worldview in general. We can also see this when you remember how Zarlino in his Instituzioni Armoniche gave what reasons Zarlino had for his scenario. So in order to justify pure thirds, he used a lot of Bible quotations, Greek philosophy, and so on. So it was already, and of course, Pythagoras was also, the Pythagorean system was also a religious system. And the fifth and the fourth and the octave that come from this number proportions, they are kind of a byproduct of his worldview in general. As I said, Zarlino, and also Werkmeister is deeply rooted in Protestant ideology, Protestant thought. which I will show later, and it goes until even the 20th century when we think about Joseph Matthias Hauer, for instance, how he justified his 12-tone system and the equal temperament also as a kind of a more metaphysical and religious system, no? And not just a practical thing. So I think it's quite clear that we have this very constant connection between tuning system and religious or philosophical worldview. When we now go back to our case here, like why is it that Protestant church organs sound so different from Catholic organs in the 18th century? And I think we have to go a little bit into the main differences between Catholicism and Protestantism to find a reason for that. And for me, this is it's very fascinating to see that how something that we could consider surface structure, like how our thirds tune, is deeply rooted in very fundamental ideas about the universe and about the world and about the human being, what a human being is in general. So we have to understand, like the church organs were obviously used for liturgical purposes. They were built for masses, for all the events that happen in a church. And so I think the first point of inquiry, the first question is, what is actually the function of an organ in a mass, and what is actually a mass? What is happening there? And I think there lies really the core difference, because what the most important element of a mass in the Catholic tradition is this magical act of transubstantiation. So the fact that bread and wine are magically transformed into, or not transformed, you have to say transubstantialized into flesh and blood of Christ. And that's, I think that's really, it seems to be a very strange little detail, but this is really the main difference, because this turns the Mass into a really magical, mysterious thing. There is really a mystery, really a miracle happening every time a Mass is performed in Catholic, in the Catholic doctrine. No? So, and the priest is the person who is actually leading this ritual, this magical transubstantiation. Whereas in the Protestant tradition, they don't believe in this concept of transubstantiation. They think they're talking about something vague, like a real presence of Christ, but they don't believe that the bread actually turned into the flesh of Christ. And the second main difference is that they are much more focusing on reading the text, reading the Bible, understanding the Bible. So this Lutheran principle of sola scriptura. So I think for me this is a very, very important thing, because this turns the Mass into something completely different. One thing is you perform a magical ritual where a miracle is happening live in front of your eyes, or you just read the text and interpret the text and understand the text that was given to you. So this is a completely different thing that is happening here. No? Like outwardly, there are some similarities, but basically that's a completely different ball game, so to speak. And so if we put it more, let's say, in a more lighter way, we could say that going to a church is more going to a magical theater in the Catholic Church, where when you go to a Protestant or Reformed church, it's more like going to a university or like a community college or something like this, no? I think that's somehow really the main difference in approach. And of course, if we think about this, then this also means that all the art and all the music that is used during these events, so to speak, it has a completely different role, a completely different function. No? And from this completely different function, of course, follows a different structure of music and of art. So let's have a closer look at, this is the title page of a book by Andreas Werkmeister from 1691. And here I just want to quote one little sentence in here, and here because he says, und weil man durch die Subsemitonia keine Zusammenbildung der Harmonie erlangen und haben kann, so sehen wir, wie Gott und die Natur es so weislich geordnet und in die Musik gleich wie in andere natürliche Dinge eine Temperatur und eine liebliche Zusammenbildung gelegt hat, welches den schöne Moralia mit sich führet und in sich hält. So what he says here is that when God created the world and created the music and so on, he already conceived of it as something that is temperate, so Temperatur. No? So the Temperatur wurde schon hineingelegt, so it was already put into music by God, and then he continues, and this is also kind of eine schöne Moralia. So it's also like a moral thing that God did, temperate. So, and I think this is already, it's quite clear. It's about, so religion here is about morals and about tempering yourself and about, it's a kind of a something, so you listen to the music and then you learn through listening to music about morals, about tempering yourself. No? And I think this is a very, very Protestant way of looking at music. No? We continue a little bit further. And then I just summarized, I just wanted to show you this. You see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then he is quoting different authors, different parts of the Bible. And this whole text here is about Zarlino, and it's all the arguments that are against Zarlino's idea of the scenario, and he goes back to the 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, to the tetractys, fifth. No, you see it here constantly, 1, 2, 3, 4. And he is quoting different parts of the Bible, different authorities and so on, in order to corroborate his idea of going back to Pythagorean fifth. And that's what we have also seen at the very beginning, no? That the North German Protestant tunings, they're always more focusing on the fifth, than on the pure fifth than on the third. Okay. And then he... I just want to show you the picture. Then he just gives you the practical advice how to tune this tuning system. So I just wanted to show that this was not just some theoreticians who thought about something, but it really has this very practical side of it, and we can really think of it as something that really influenced people who were tuning their harpsichords and organs in the 17th century. It was not just... Okay, now when we go further into this question about what the function of music in this Protestant world that is using this type of tuning system. What we can see is that one of the main functions and the main role of the organ in a Protestant church is to accompany the hymns, so the Kirchenlied. No? So the people are the congregation, the people who come to Mass are singing together. Very simple homophonic chorals or songs, basically hymns. And when we think about a hymn, of course, let's go one. So, as I said, one of the main principles of Protestantism was the idea of sola scriptura. So you go back to the text and you think about the text and contemplate the text and of the Holy Script and try to understand the text. So everything was focused on the text. And in order to find a role for music, we could say that in this Protestant context, in this chorus, the function of the music was to emphasize the content of the text. You can very clearly see this in Bach's chorals or something. Like in the St. Matthew's Passion, we have different settings of the same line, and it always sounds differently according to the text. The harmony is kind of used as a tool to underline the content of the text. And so we have Matheson is also calling it Klangrede. So the idea of rational talk is central for Protestant ideology in general, and of course also then for music. And then, so we have this, and then we have a choral. And the choral, as I said, is very restricted because it's just one line, the hymn, and then you have only chords and it's homophonic. So there's no counterpoint, there is no changes of color, no complex rhythmic structure. Everything is very limited. So the only way that you can use to emphasize the content of the text is harmony. And of course, if you want to use harmony and use complex harmonical structures, you have to have a tuning system that allows you to do that. And I think so. It's quite clear that the fact that we have all these tuning systems in these North German Lutheran areas that allow you to use complex harmonies and to also have this different symbolic value of different chords and harmonies. It's very much connected to this idea of Protestant ideology of how to translate text into music, how to use music to emphasize the content of the text. No? And so this goes for the chord, of course. But this goes also then for the not for the chord, for the hymns. But this is also true for the music that is derived and connected to the hymns. So for lots of organ music as well. Like an example is something that you can see here. Is we have this. I just made it. Happy, gay song, and I think that's very important to see. So der Tag ist so freudenreich. So this is a happy day. So the music sounds very gay and underlines with its character the content of the text. No? If we move on to the next example, durch Adams Fall. This is because there's a different text. So we can very easily, I mean, that's a commonplace thing that we always learn, that we have a text and then the text is kind of connected or is underlined. I think for me that's the best term, underlined through the quality and the type of music. Now so I think we can clearly understand the structure here when we now move on to a. Wait, sorry, I didn't want to. Yeah, let's move on to this one. Just to show that this idea that you have a hymn and a text and a music that is used to or to set this hymn mirrors the content of the text is just something that is particular for this type of music, and it's not something that is that we think it's normal, but it is not normal. It's a choice, no? And this is another example. So this was as you can see, Claudio Mierolo. So this is a Curia. You can see in the alto we have here this Kyrie eleison. So this is the choral. But now let's compare it to this. This is a different section. It's from the Gloria and it's Quoniam tu solus sanctus. And this sounds like this. Sorry. And so on. And we have here in the highest, in the soprano is the choral. But it's a completely different text. It's from a Gloria, different content, but it sounds basically the same. There is no differentiation in the musical structure between Kyrie, which is like Lord have mercy upon us. So it's a very, let's say, the people are humiliating themselves before the God, and here it's where people are very happy, Quoniam tu sanctus, because you are the holy, and so on. So we have a completely different text, exactly the same musical structure. So and this is, as I said, Claudio Mierolo, and this is the way music was used in the Catholic Church. And so we see a completely different approach towards text and towards the way music was used. We could say that, or like to characterize a Catholic Mass until the 1960s, we could say that everything was very much informed by Gregorian chant. So everything was based on chant, on the one hand, and then on the other hand, the people, the congregation who came to the Mass, they were basically passively sitting there and enjoying this beautiful music that was going through the Mass from the beginning to the end, and they were not taking part in it. They were not singing hymns themselves. They were just exposed, so to speak, to the beauty of sound and of incense and of colors and whatever. So it was as I said before, it was more like a theatrical performance, and at the heart of the ritual there was this magical miracle that happened with the transubstantiation. And the music sounded very much like the music that we've heard here, with the only exception of the toccate at the beginning, who were very splendid and full of sound. And then we had the toccate per elevazione, so the kind of mystical pieces that led into sound itself at the moment of the miracle, so to speak. And so we have a completely different approach towards mass, and of course also towards the function of the organ in the mass. So the organ was this kind of instrument that provided this soundscape, this space where people could dive in to perform the ritual. And as it was also based on Gregorian chant and modal system, there was no need for any modulations, no need for chromatic modulations into different pitch regions, but everything stayed within the confinements of the modal system. But the sound quality was as high as possible because we had pure thirds. So the sensual quality was as high as possible. And I think that's the most important thing, that we have this sensual quality of experiencing the beauty of sound, and not the idea of using sound in order to underline the content of text. And I think, so we see a completely different idea of what is happening in a Christian ritual between the Protestant and the Orthodox. And this also then means that we, and justifies that we have completely different instruments and completely different types of instruments in northern Germany and in southern Germany, Italy, and of course in Austria here. And now I would like to just go back here. So this is a picture by Francisco de Salinas. He's a contemporary of Zarlino, so from around 16th century. And I just want to point to the first sentence that is written here: Totios harmonie vis hoc diagrammate fulget, which means the whole of harmony in force fulget, like it's like a flash or of lightning, out of this table of harmony. And I think this summarizes also very much this idea of Catholic tuning systems. No? It's like the music itself reflects this idea of the eternal harmony of God and the beauty of God, that is just the light of God, so to speak, is going through the numbers of the tuning system. And that's what you experience when you listen to music. That's what happens when you go to Mass, that you are kind of embalmed in this light that comes from the beauty of sound. And you don't need to understand anything, no? You don't read the text and try to understand what it means, but it's just a sensual experience that is central for this idea of how mass function, and then also of how sound and in particular organs are used in this context. Now let's, after this introduction, I would like to go more into details of the situation in Austria here at around 1700, because I think this is a very particular chapter in the history of music, and it's a very particular type of music that not so many people really know, and that is very fascinating. I mean, names like Bieber, Schmelzer, and Muffat, Georg Muffat, are I mean, some people know them, but they are not as well known as names like Handel or Bach or Vivaldi or something like this. No? So we have here this particular Austrian tradition of Baroque music, and I think the one part of the reason why this music is so particular is because it maintained or it stayed in this world of mean tone temperament and did not change into the world of well-tempered music like in northern Germany, like Buxtehude, Bach, Brahms, and so on. And one paradigmatic work that I would like to look into a little bit is the collection of organ pieces by Georg Muffat. It's called, as you can see, Apparatus Musico Organisticus, and it's a collection of organ toccate. And what was interesting, and I will play one of these pieces tonight in the concert, and what was interesting for me now in the context of this tuning symposium was the question, what pitch material does he use? And when we look at the score and look at his pitch material, what kind of tuning do we need in order to perform it? So this is the first toccata. It's a beautiful facsimile writing. So what I did, I went through all the toccata and just basically counted just made a chart what kind of notes he's using. And so we go through here toccata 1 to 12, and then we can see what pitch material he uses. So first one is F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, B flat, and E flat. And then here, for instance, in this, here we have F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, B, E flat, and A flat in one. So you already see that here we have an A flat and a D sharp, which are, of course, two different pitches in mean tone temperament. No? And we can see also that each toccata uses different sets of black keys, so to speak. But when we summarize everything, you can see that what he actually requires is an instrument that has 17 different keys per octave. No? So he doesn't use E sharp or B sharp, but all the other keys need to be split into two in order to perform this cycle of organ music. And now we see this quite clearly that we need this. And the question is, what kind of instruments were available at this time? And the first instrument that we can think about is mentioned in much earlier already in Praetorius' Syntagma Musicum. Sorry, and Praetorius mentions an instrument called Clavicimbalum Universale, and this was built for Carolo Leuton, the chamber organist of the Habsburg Emperor Rudolf II. And it was also, I think, it's of course everything is quite dark back then, we don't know, but it was also transferred to Prague, and Rudolf II was also residing in Prague. So, and this chamber organist was definitely traveling with the emperor. So we have quite clear indications that we have this instrument in Prague in the 17th century. And this instrument has a tuning like this, and you can see it here. It has even 19 keys per octave, and they are tuned in this way. So you see it starts C, then we have a C sharp and a D flat, then a D, then a D sharp and the E flat, and so on. No? I think it's quite clear. And you see it's like 19 keys per octave. And then when you look below here, you see that's how the keyboard is laid out, no? So these are the black keys, the white keys, sorry, the C, D, E, F, and so on. And these are the split keys here. So we have here it's quite obvious, no? So this is as I said from Pretorius, Syntagma Musicum, and he goes on, and this is even getting even more interesting. Where is it? Then he writes that, es kann aber dasselbige Klavizimbel oder Instrument 7-mal als nämlich durch das C und so on bis ins C und also 3 Follow tonus fortgerückt werden. This means, to translate, that this instrument had a transposing mechanism. So you could kind of move the keyboard so that you could transpose the whole thing on to all the 7 steps of the white keys. So you could play C major and it would sound D major or E major. It would be a transposing instrument. But what is so interesting about this thing is that this implies something else. So if you want to transpose in a mean tone tempered system, this means that you can't use a quarter comma mean tone, but you have to use a third comma mean tone temperament. Because, and this is, I can show this to you very clear, this is a fascinating fact. Okay, sorry, this is a, I'll show it to you later. I wanted to, where is it? Here. So when you look here at the quarter comma mean tone temperament, like this is the chart. You see what is characteristic for this temperament is that it has pure minor thirds, not pure major thirds, but pure minor thirds. And the interesting thing is that if you start here tuning all this fifth, sorry, I forgot to explain. And you see all the fifths are a quarter comma too low, so about 7 cents low. So it's quite a quite small fifth. I can even show you here in a moment. Okay, so this would be a pure major third, a minor third, and the fifth would sound like. So it's quite. Quite small, no? But you have the advantage of. Sorry. So if you have 1, 2, 3 fifths, then you get the A, and if you compare it to the initial C, you get the pure major minor third. No? So this is a quarter comma mean tone temperament, and it was already developed by Zarlino. So sorry, third comma mean tone temperament. Yeah, third comma mean tone temperament, like 7 cents lower fifth. No. Okay, we go back, and the interesting feature now is that, we can see it here. If you take this fifth, that is a third comma too low, 7 cents low, and multiply it by 19. And then compare it to 11 octaves, you reach the same pitch, which means this is a system that is closing. No? So you can, and that's what you need if you want to transpose a keyboard. No? You want to have a system that is circular and not a system that is open-ended like many other systems. So and then you can see it also here. You have a quarter comma mean tone temperament, and if you reach the 19th fifth here, you are again at the starting point of the circle. No? This is the same if you prefer to calculate. So this is in cents. So I just calculated all the fifths on top of each other, and then you see you end up at this 13,205 cents, which equals 11 octaves. No? And so it's very interesting that we have this documentation of this instrument already with Pretorius in the Syntagma Musicum, and this would be a way of tuning a 19-tone instrument. And this would be an instrument that would be suitable for playing the apparatus musicus organisticus. But you can also, of course, sorry, now I go back. So this is an old source. This is Pretorius, but it's very interesting that in 74, Johann Baptist Zamba, who was the organist at the cathedral in Salzburg, he wrote this book Manuductio ad Organum, where he just explains how organ works, and this is like a course for organists. And in this book, there is also printed a keyboard like this. And you can exactly see the same setup. No? So you have, let's start with the C, then C sharp, E flat, E, D, and then E flat, D sharp, and so on. So you have a 19 keys per octave keyboard, and that he put it there to explain for the beginner what this keyboard means, and then he also, and that's the interesting thing, is he doesn't write anything about tuning systems, but because of this instrument and because of the way he uses intervals and how he describes the keyboards, it's quite clear that it has to be mean tone temperament, and he doesn't even question it. It was just the most ordinary thing in the world for an organist in 1700 that you have quarter comma or whatever kind of mean tone temperament. At the same time, where we saw at the beginning how Werkmeister were elaborating these well-tempered instruments for the world here, mean tone temperament was just the most ordinary thing. It was not even questioned. It was just that's how you tune an instrument. No? You can also see it here. Like he's very diligent. Here is a chart of all the possible intervals, and you see the fundamentum is exactly the same 19-tone scale. No? And then it's also very interesting because here he describes was ist ein Komma, and Komma ist eine Subtilität und unter zwei nächsten Klängen eine kleine Distanz oder Raum, deren zwei Kommata erst eine Kreuz oder Dies sind, welches der halbe Teil eines Semitoni minoris ist, verursachen. So ein Vokalist kaum mit größter Mühe exprimieren kann. So he doesn't give a very clear scientific proportional explanation. He just says it's a very, very small interval and it's very hard to intonate. So he doesn't even go into the details of explaining it like more scientifically. And it would be, that's how you would explain the comma that he's talking about. Now, the difference between the F sharp and the G flat, and this is about 42 cents. So talking about the tuning of the Muffa toccata, so this would be this kind of third comma mean tone temperament would be one option, and of course the other option would be to just tune it in quarter comma mean tone temperament. This is also possible. You can't transpose with this temperament then, no? I think, but of course it's also possible to. Where was the chart? To go here and just tune it in quarter, comma, mean tone temperament, and then you get this series of fifths. But it also means that you have these enharmonic steps here, and it also means that the system doesn't close. In order to close the system of a quarter comma mean tone temperament, you need 31 steps per octave, as Vicentino did, and we were talking about last time. No? So it's possible to tune the organ to quarter comma mean tone temperament and play these pieces then. Okay, just to okay, no, sorry. No, sorry, I'm just looking for the right. No. Okay, so we have seen this application in the organ literature. Now, to conclude, I would like to show you a small example together with Barbara from the other piece that that we are going to play, and this is the sonata for violin and basso continuo by Muffat. And here there is a very fascinating phenomenon. And as I said, we have here in this tuning system these enharmonic steps, no? And this is the where is it? In Muffat's piece now, we have actually really these enharmonic steps notated. So we have here the first E sharp, and then the E sharp moves to F, and here is a B sharp that moves into the C, and we're going to demonstrate this to you now. Yeah. So first we have this. So this is a pure major third, no? So you see that is like, maybe it's the only piece that I know that really composes this as a step. Die zweite Stelle noch. Moment, das war.
Is it in tune with the E flat actually? This the piece before. If I have this C sharp as a pure big third, and then I have the F is a minor. Okay. It's a minor third, also pure. strumming later. If you have
No, the F is actually taken in the system from the A as a pure major third from A.
and was the B coming next? Okay, that's not pure. Okay, she's
Yeah, it's too small. Yeah.
Is this a fourth comma or a third comma?
Fourth comma. Quarter comma. Okay, and so this is we can
Same here.
see if I can. Okay. Sorry.
This one. Sorry, can you go back?
Von 124. Ganz schnell.
Okay. Also,
Ja.
quite a big step, no? It's really like a really big step. Like this.
Okay, thank you. So with this, I just want to show you another little example here from, you see this is very particular for this sonata also, that we now really go within one page through almost all the keys, but of course only playable again with split keys, and it goes through in a very crazy way through like all the possible keys, and you can see it also in this in this chart. So these are all the possible chords, and in the upper line you see all the chords that he actually uses within this sonata. So with this I would like to conclude. If you have any questions, and yeah, no question.
You mentioned the relationships between mythological or religious ideas and tunings. Could you give some examples, specific examples?
I mean, what I mentioned is like Pythagoras, for instance, no? Who thinks that the proportions 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 are the proportions that are regulating the structure of the whole universe, of the whole world. It's not just the tuning system, but it's the tuning system of the world. And then we have this medieval and also Renaissance idea of this harmonia celestis, harmonia mundi, and so these different steps of harmonic systems that are mirroring each other And so it's in the Western tradition, it's very a common idea that how to tune your instrument is reflecting the structure of the world as a whole. Yeah.
And which was the Salino book specifically? Where to know the Salino book of the biblical examples?
The biblical, yeah, I mean, the biblical examples, they are more like, they're not so systematic. No? The Greek examples are more systematic in the Renaissance. But we have always this connection between worldview and tuning system. No? Yeah. Yeah, then let's go into the break. Thank you very much.